What's up, math fans and parents of math fans? You ever try to do your homework and your parents don't help you because they don't want to or they forgot how to do it because it's been a while? Well, it might help you to encourage them to watch a couple videos too, or just learn, or just remember, because I don't know, teamwork, it strengthens your relationship. Speaking of relationships, what is your relationship with your parents? How could you describe it? Now, I'm a math teacher, so I'm not asking you for a whole story. I'm asking you for numbers. I want you to quantify your relationship. So if you're going to quantify it, I got to give you a scale. Your best relationship, your most perfect relationship would be a 10, and your worst, most terrible, you guys fight every day, would be a -10. So how would you quantify your relationship? I obviously can't hear you, but I want you to think about it. 0 would be no relationship at all. You just kind of exist, but you don't really coexist. So let's see. 10 is the best, -10 is the worst, 0 is no relationship at all. That is the same thing for any kind of relationship, not just between you and your parents. So the correlation coefficient would be a number that describes a relationship. And instead of -10 to 10, we keep it really short from -1 to 1 and all the decimals in between, because those kind of represent percentages. So 1 would really represent 100%, the most perfect relationship ever, and -1 would be -100%, the most terrible relationship ever. 0 would be no relationship at all. So this just means R, which is the correlation coefficient, can be anywhere from -1 to +1, or in any decimal in between. So instead of you and your parents, I decided to look at data, temperature and ice cream. So I put some points down on a graph. Maybe it came from a survey, maybe it came from me doing research, whatever. So for example, at 40 degrees temperature, I sold 10 ice cream cones. And I looked at my data here and I created a scatter plot. Maybe at 60 degrees, I sold 11, but I also sold, I don't know what, 40. So it's a scatter plot. This green line, as you know from the video on scatter plots, is the line best fit, meaning you do not connect the dots. You just draw a line that summarizes the relationship. Looks like the dots are going up. That's a positive correlation. So my green line is going to be going up, positive. But the question might be, how could you describe that relationship? I would say, yeah, it's a positive relationship. How could you quantify that relationship? Is it strong positive, weak positive, what? The dots are pretty spread out. I would consider that weak positive. So I would say my correlation coefficient is not that close to 1. It's not 0, they're not all over the place, it's still positive, so it would be, I don't know, maybe like 0.5 or 0.6, somewhere around there. It's pretty scattered. Let's look at another one. Here, temperature goes up, sweaters go down. The higher the temperature, the less sweaters you see in the street, or the less sweaters are sold at stores. So this I would consider a negative correlation, and when I plotted the points, they seem pretty tight, pretty close together. What does that mean? That's a strong negative correlation. My line best fit goes through the points, strong negative correlation. So if I had to quantify that relationship, I would say my correlation coefficient is strong negative, means here's strong, if you're looking at your number line, strong negative is closer to -1.0, strong positive closer to 1. And in the middle there, or anything near the middle, is kind of weak. I would say anything from 0.5, -0.5 to 5 is kind of weak. So let's see, this is pretty strong, but it's negative. I would consider this -0.9. And these numbers I'm just guessing as an example for you. There is a way to do it on the graphing calculator. You actually type in the data, you type in all the x values, type in all the y values, and it will calculate it for you. How do you do that? If you have a graphing calculator, you should do it now. If you don't, write it down right here. I would press stat, and your first choice is edit, and it gives you L1 and L2. L1 would be all your x values. L2 would be, this is all your x values. L2 would be all your y values. So you would type it in, you would type it in, then you'd let the calculator do its thing. Press stat again, slide over to calc, and the fourth choice says LinReg, also known as linear regression, which is a relationship. a linear relationship, you will see that there are other kinds of relationships. There's curved relationships, quadratic, exponential, etc. So LinReg ax plus b, which you should recognize as mx plus b, where this a is the slope. So they'll give you the a when you press enter. Here you choose choice 4, you press enter. They give you the slope, they give you the y-intercept, and you can use these two pieces of information to write the equation of this green line. But what if they don't ask for the equation? Well, they will ask for the equation, but what if they say, thanks for the equation, but also describe the relationship? So then you want your r. You're going to look for where r says r equals. And r equals whatever they give you. So they'll tell you -0.9 or -0.8 or whatever it is. And then you say, oh, okay, thanks for telling me r. Now I know strong negative, strong positive, or whatever. Take a look at number 3. Hours, dollars. 0 hours, $50. 1 hour, $60. 2 hours, $70. 3 hours, $80. What's happening? My money's going up every time by 10. That's a constant rate of change. That's a perfect slope, which means these scatter plot are really perfectly aligned, creating a perfect line best fit, line perfect fit. When the points are that aligned, what would the relationship be? Very strong positive, so strong in fact that it would be 1. R would be 1, 100%, lined up perfectly, okay? That's when R is 1, or if they were lined up perfectly going down, R would be what? -1, okay? So here's how to find the value of R on a calculator, and this whole story was what it means. Thanks for watching. Any questions, type in the comments, like, subscribe, and study. See ya.